Ageism is prejudice or discrimination on the grounds of a person's age.
I would like to highlight the major findings in ageism research, the unexpected discoveries, and point future researchers to issues that still require investigation today. The ultimate question is, does ageism exist? And to that, I would answer ageism does indeed exist, but sometimes it can be hard to identify. Anyone who has been exposed to the US culture quickly learns that the US has a cultural bias in favor of the youth. In the US, we tend to fear death and afterlife. Aging go hand in hand. Old age is stereotypically perceived as a negative time whereupon the older person suffers declines in physical attributes, mentality, loss of identity, loss of respect from society, and increasing dependence on others. Interesting research has found that even people with very positive attitudes towards the elderly often seem to speak to older adults in very different ways from how they communicate. Further explore the nature of the fear and death in the American society. If we can begin to understand the source of this fear, we may be able to design an educational program that can, from an early age, teach people not to fear death. Once the fear is eliminated, the stereotypes could be abolished. The United States population of those 65 years of age and older is estimated to double from 2000 to the year 2030. This growing population trend is going to bring with it an increased importance in public policy regarding health services, community services, and larger institutional practices. The goal of this study is to eliminate people's feelings about old age as well as people's attitudes towards the elderly in general. When asked if we lived in a society that respects the elderly, 57.2% of the sample either disagreed with this statement and 6.5% strongly agreed with it. Those under the age of 40 had the highest levels of reported fear of getting older. This study has added further support to the existing literature regarding ageism and general attitudes towards the elderly. The American society is generally an ageist society that belittles the elderly and stigmatizes them in numerous ways. As the overall numbers of it will be even more important to pay close attention to how society views them and feels about them. We must remain diligent and work very hard to ensure that the eldest members of society are always treated with the dignity and the respect they deserve.
And it's talking about ageism, so I had a couple questions for you. One of the questions was, why do you think young people are fearing of aging?
Because all the complications that come with aging, your body ages. Some people are scared of losing their flawless skin and taking on responsibilities.
The second question for you is, do you think at your age you have experienced a time that you have experienced ageism?
Since my dad he showed me to the business, real estate, accounting, mortgage, I have more experience than, say, an average teenager, but not enough ageism. I guess I would say there's still a lot for me to learn.
Understand. Now my third question for you is, do you think older people have wisdom?
Yes, well, I'd say most of them, because a lot of them have gone through a lot of situations that I haven't even experienced or felt. So they obviously display and show a lot of wisdom more than, say, teenagers.
So you would give them full respect?
Yes.
Okay, thank you today for answering my 3 questions. I will be asking you today is, one, do you think you have experienced ageism at your age?
Probably not, because I'm up in age. But when I was younger and starting out, I started out working in the emergency room. Didn't have experience at all, but yet I knew somebody that worked for the hospital, so that was my way of getting in. I think a lot of it more looked at experience. But as a young person starting out, good thing, you know, sometimes when somebody doesn't have experience, because then you can train them the way that you want to train them.
That's 100% right.
Yeah.
You can mold them, how they say.
Yeah, pretty much.
My second question is, why do you think young people fear of aging?
Well, I think it depends on the background that you come from. I think it depends on family history, disease, and so forth. And from that standpoint, I think that it's fearful because maybe somebody in your family has had a heart attack. Somebody maybe has diabetes, or somebody might have Alzheimer's. You know, when you look at those kind of things, as a young person, I think that what if that would happen to me? And me being a director of a memory care unit, I can pretty much relate to all of those things because they all come into play.
And genes and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Now my last question is, do you think older people have wisdom?
Very much so. They have so much wisdom that they can share with us, not only from a family standpoint, you know, and what happened as they were growing up. It really teaches us a lot. It teaches us a lot of values.
3 questions. And your first question is, do you think you have experienced ageism at your age?
Yes. Previous job did not allow me to mess with a certain amount of money due to me being underage.
Your second question is, why do you think young people fear aging?
I think young people fear aging because the older you get is the more responsibilities that comes to you, as well as more health problems.
Your third question is, do you think older people have wisdom?
Yes, because they've experienced more in life.
Today I'll be asking you 3 questions. My first question is, do you think you have experienced ageism at your age?
Probably not, but I've never really noticed or considered it. It's not something that bothers me.
Understand. Your second question is, why do you think young people fear aging?
I guess it's just economic-wise, thinking financially, or some people think health reasons, but my concept or what I think it's the reason why we're more scared of aging is because there's no really such a security as there was back then.
Understand. The third question is, do you think older people have wisdom?
No. Just because you're older doesn't mean you've experienced everything in life. There's young people that have experienced more things than other people.
Understand. Well, thank you for answering. I will be asking you 3 questions today. And my first question to you is, do you think you have experienced ageism at your age?
I think I experienced that when I was younger. That a lot of older folks wouldn't think that somebody that was young like me would be able to help them with their finances.
Sure. Your second question is, why do you think young people fear aging?
I believe it has a lot to do with social media and knowing that growing old is a negative thing in society these days. I don't think it's a bad thing, but I think there is a stigma that people don't want to get old.
Your third question is, do you think older people have wisdom?
I believe with experience comes wisdom. So yeah, I do think that older folks are able to share from their experiences, and that's what allows them to have more wisdom than somebody who's young.
Understandable. Well, thank you for answering my 3 questions today. As we can see in these interviews, a lot of people had different answers, but in some way, their answers were similar. There was 2 questions that had very similar answers from people. The first one was about the youth fearing aging. The youth is fearing aging because health issues and responsibilities. The other question that a lot of people had similar answers on was, do you think older people have wisdom? A lot of people said that you gain wisdom from experiences over time, and you gain, and all of that turns into wisdom, which makes you wiser. And these were the 2 questions that had similar answers.